Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. As we approach the first debate of this presidential election season, earlier than normal, between President Joe Biden and Donald Trump, it's clear, crystal clear, Trump and the Republican pitch to voters is fundamentally a con job. I mean that in the most literal sense. The term con job comes from so-called confidence men, fixtures of the late 19th century, who swindle the victims with their confidence. Right now, that kind of false bravado is the defining feature of Donald Trump's attempt to win back the Oval Office. Remember, this is the man who tried to destroy our constitutional republic live on national television and who utterly failed in overseeing the one national crisis he had to guide the nation through, the pandemic. And yet, Trump and his surrogates are constantly telling voters to ask themselves the question, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
They can't run on, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? I don't think Joe Biden can run on the question of, are you better off than you were 4 years ago?
That's the one question he is praying that he never hears. Are you better off under 4 years for Joe Biden or 4 years under Donald Trump?
You know, people are saying to themselves, were we better off 4 years ago or are we better off now? And it wasn't even close.
That, by the way, was all from the past week. Now, we have been running a series here on All In responding to that very question because the events of 4 years ago were so disruptive and shocking, unprecedented and traumatic. I think a lot of people, I would say most people, partly myself included, to be honest, have just blocked it out. And again, I get it. I don't want to think about sitting inside trying to homeschool my kids or attending a Zoom Shiva for my dearly departed uncle, or the indelible images of packed hospitals and the dying saying goodbye to their loved ones on iPads. And of course, the fact that most people don't want to think too much about 2020 is an enormous advantage for Republicans in the Trump campaign who are attempting to pull off this con job. Their aim is to kind of magically replace your memories, to distract you from the fact that 4 years ago, we were all living in the midst of disaster.
Tonight, the country has reached another sobering milestone in the coronavirus pandemic, surpassing 2 million cases. And this warning sign, hospitalizations are surging in many states.
We're going to start our rallies back up now. We've had a tremendous run at rallies. I don't think there's been an empty seat, a big one in Texas. They're all going to be big. We're going to Arizona.
Texas and Arizona among at least 9 states reporting a jump in hospitalizations, the best indicator of the virus's toll.
We're really doing a financial comeback. The jobs numbers were fantastic.
Still, 1.5 million people filed for unemployment benefits last week, almost 43 million since the pandemic began.
I think that the economy will be, next year will be maybe the best it's ever been. You can already see it with the stock market, how it's been going up, because you have a lot of smart people that are betting on exactly what I'm saying.
A huge sell-off on Wall Street today amid new concerns about the continuing spread of COVID-19. The Dow plunging more than 1,800 points, its biggest drop in 3 months.
And very important time in our country. A lot of things are happening, and I think when it all ends up, it's going to end up very good for everybody.
There's growing concern tonight that relaxing restrictions is causing major increases in COVID-19 cases.
We need to protect lives. We all agree with that. But all the lives are precious, not just the people who've been infected by COVID, but also the people who are being driven to this because of the lockdown.
Here's what's happening in some of those places that have done a total shutdown. Their poverty rate is going up. What are people going to do if they don't have jobs to go to earn a living in order to take care of their families? That's the main reason. All of these scare tactics, they won't work this time around. They will not work.
I should note, 1 week after Herman Cain made that appearance on Fox News, he attended Donald Trump's indoor rally, big indoor rally in the midst of COVID in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And by the end of June, he was hospitalized with COVID. And he died on July 30th. At the age of 74. Naturally, every time we do one of these segments, I find that looking back at 4 years ago brings on a lot of emotion. Most people divide recent history into the before times and the after times, myself included. A lot of us feel nostalgia for the before times. And that is exactly what Donald Trump and his allies are using to build their lie about what really happened, to erase our real memories and implant false ones. That is their project, and it has been unnervingly effective so far. 4 years ago, in June of 2020, while we were all living through the trauma of the pandemic, Donald Trump's approval rating was 42%. Now, in a new Monmouth poll asking voters to look back, 47% of Americans say they approve of the job Trump did as president. It's not much, but those 5 points are basically the margin of the entire election. And they are accomplishing that swing, that con job, through flat-out lies about what is really happening. Take a listen to Missouri Senator Josh Hawley doing this today.
He's going to run on his record from 4 years ago versus Biden's right now. We have the new numbers out today. Gas under President Biden up 55%, groceries up 40%, wages down 3%. I mean, that's the campaign right there. That's before we get to crime. That's before we get to the border.
Okay, so sorry, Josh Hawley, wages are up decidedly. Average hourly earnings are actually up 17% from May 2020 to 2024 in nominal terms, like the groceries and stuff. Wages have also crucially outpaced inflation for the past 13 months, as Heather Long of the Washington Post pointed out today. Crime, which Hawley mentioned, is way down. Look at what has happened with the homicide rate. In 2020, when, Donald Trump was president, he ushered in, under his presidency, the largest ever one-year jump, spiking 30%. By 2023, the homicide rate had tumbled 19% to 5.3 homicides per 100,000 people. New data from the FBI shows the rate continues to drop off dramatically, down another 26% in the first quarter of 2024 from the same time period last year. Gas prices are, I will admit, overall higher than they were in the summer of 2020. Why were they low then? No one was traveling anywhere. Okay? That's what the cheap gas prices. When there was refrigerator trucks full of cadavers, the gas prices were low. And they spiked up in the early part of the Biden administration, the war in Ukraine, but they've been trending in the right direction and continue to fall even as the summer travel season heats up. Grocery prices are coming down, not just with inflation, which cooled to 3.3% today, but retailers are actually now slashing prices on thousands of items. Again, they spiked in the wake of the pandemic like they did everywhere in the world. But they're on the right trajectory now, and all this is happening under the presidency of the incumbent, Joe Biden. And we are not losing thousands of Americans a day to the deadly pandemic. We do not live in a nation in the throes of constant disorder. This time, 4 years ago, we were living through the televised murder of George Floyd and the protests and police response that followed, while then President Trump called for sending in troops.
Across the country, what started as peaceful gatherings protesting the death of George Floyd devolved into destruction. From New York, where police and protesters squared off in the streets, to Portland, where the mayor issued a state of emergency and a city curfew.
The nation erupted into scenes of chaos, violence, and widespread destruction into the early morning hours. In some of the nation's biggest cities, the night spiraled out of control early.
We've just had to run about a block as police moved in. We've been fired at with rubber bullets. My cameraman has been hit. We've also seen tear gas being used. Here we go, they're moving through again. This is exactly what it looks like. Exactly what it looks like. We're just staying safely. Oh.
Whoa. Oh.
Amelia, can you hear us?
Amelia, are you okay?
We are really surrounded by the police, and you really saw the way that they dealt with my cameraman, Tim. They're quite violent, and they do not care who they're targeting at the moment.
I said, we have to dominate the streets. You can't let that happen, and we're doing it with compassion. If you think about it, we're dominating the street with compassion.
All that happened under the watch of President Donald Trump. We cannot say or hear that enough. And if he returns to power, I am telling you it is a safe bet we will return to trauma and chaos.